G'day all, Mark at Southern Cross Amateur Astro here, and this is just a quick follow-up to my previous video using APT simulation with the Sky Simulator for Ascom and Alpaca. In this one I'm just going to quickly go through what I use. I don't use all the devices that come with the Sky Simulator. I've got a bit of a problem with the mount, which I'll explain when I get in there, and I use a different camera for guiding in PhD too. So keep this as short as I can. We'll get straight into it. Now the big thing I don't use out of the Sky Simulator is the mount, and there's a couple of reasons this, with the main one being we've got a bit of a problem for some people, and myself included, where when you move the mount and it's passing near the celestial pole, it seems to get stuck there and will just flip-flop between a couple of coordinates there and stay there. Han hasn't been able to replicate it yet, so he hasn't been able to fix it. I've just sent him how I've been doing it now. I can replicate it pretty much every time, and he might be able to help. But just to show you, this is APT. I've set this up. This has been going for over 15 minutes now, and you can see up the top here where it's just flip-flopping around between those two coordinates. It's got stuck. I'm in the southern hemisphere, so I was at the Parvo globular cluster, and I tried to move to the Tarantula Nebula, and this is what happens. So hopefully we can get this fixed, but that's the main reason I don't use the mount from the simulator. I use another simulated mount, which I find quite good. There are some areas where it's a little bit better even, but maybe Han will add something to match it later on. So I'm just going to stop this. I'm going to shut down APT. I'm not going to worry about it's not, everything's simulated, so I'm not going to worry about hurting anything. Now if you're going to change your mounts around or any of your equipment around, you're better off stopping the simulator and shutting it down and totally restarting it. So I'm going to restart the simulator here. Now I'm not going to change anything else here. I'm going to leave the camera as it is. So the only thing I'm going to change is the mount. So I'm going to move from the Alpaca interface to the Ascom interface, and this will allow me to use another simulator that can communicate with the Sky Simulator. Now when you click on this button, it will automatically connect to a mount, but by default it connects to the Sky Simulator for .NET, I think. It might have changed because I've been playing with it, so I'll go in and check. Yeah, it's just a simulator. Normally when you first started, it'll go the telescope simulator for .NET, but what you want is the simulator, just a plain simulator. You can click on properties to set it up. When you first start it the first time, you'll just be left with this. You need to put your location in as normal for everything. Underneath that you have a slew rate, which is a very good thing to have. You can adjust how fast the mount's going to slew, so you can replicate your own mount. This is very important when you get around doing meridian flips, simulated ones, because if you set it too fast, it'll finish it too soon and your flip will say it's failed. Or you can just, I found for my mount about 6 or 7 or maybe 8 gives me about the same speed as my real mount, so I'm quite happy with that. I don't check any of the top ones here. German equatorial or equatorial, either of them work, but as you note, this mount can also work as Alt as, so you can use that if you like. Don't worry about setting anything else. I don't use the optics. I'll actually disable that in a minute. Always on top, to uncheck that please. It's there by default, but I turn it off. So I go down the bottom and turn off optics because that's handled by the camera, so that works fine for me. About the only other thing you might really want to change is your system. I use J2000, so I just set it to that. And that's about all I need. I change. I leave everything else as it is and just click OK. So that's the mount I want. OK. So now it's connected to the mount. So now I'll start the simulation. And you can use your noise and everything else in here if you want. For this test I'm not going to really do it. I won't be doing too much in there, so I'll just leave it that on none, so it's not preparing too many images. Oh, pardon me. Oh, it's got the mounts moving. I was wondering what was generating so many, because it's not parked. Okay, so I'm going to close that down now. I'll start APT simulation. It'll connect to the camera and everything else. It just won't be able to connect to the mount, so I'll have to go in and connect to the mount I've just selected. Just give this a few more seconds to get in there. Fail connecting to the mount. That's okay. So we're in APT now. I'm simply going to go to gear, hold down shift, click on connect scope, and from the list go down and pick exactly the same one, the simulator, and click OK, and it'll connect to that mount. So this mount works quite well. What I'll do is I'll park it to start with, yes, and it doesn't get stuck. And as I said, in the settings you've got, probably the biggest one for me is the speed setting, being able to set how fast it moves. Sometimes the one in the alpaca one from the simulator, it seems a bit slow or wanders around a lot sometimes, so maybe something that needs to be worked on. But like I said, the biggest problem is the mount not getting stuck around the South Celestial Pole. This doesn't do that, so that's why I use this. So I'm going to unpark that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to send it, because I want to set up PhD2 as well to use this mount, and I use a different camera in PhD2 as well. So I'm going to set this up to go, I'll leave that there. I'll go to an azimuth of 355 and an alt of about 55, because I want it in position to do the calibration when I go to the other one. The only thing is sometimes it can be a little bit slow updating up here. I don't know whether that's this or the images from the simulator or not. But once it's there, I'll just leave that there, and then we'll go in and set up PhD2. But that's it for APT. If you're not going to use PhD2, you can quit this one now, because it's not going to matter, and that's done there. So now that I've got APT set up to use it, I'm going to show you what I use. I don't use PhD2 often when doing simulations. It's not really needed. I know my mount can connect to it, and my APT can connect and talk to it, so I'm happy with that. But simply go into PhD2, connect gear. I'm going to get rid of that profile, delete so I can make a new one, and new profile, cancel, new profile using Wizard. It's the easiest way to do it. The guide camera. So for this one I just use the one that says simulator. The main reason I use this one is, one, it gives you a better type of field of view of a real guide camera. There's nothing wrong with the guide camera version in the Sky Simulator. It uses exactly the same settings as you have for your main camera in APT. A bit wider field of view for me. And the other thing is, this particular one, if you click on that, yes, it's connected. Doesn't report pixel size, so I just put in my normal pixel size, 2.9. Focal length, I'm using my off-axis guider, so I'll do that one. Next, auxiliary mount. So this is where you select your simulator mount again. So simulator ASCOM in this case. Yes. Next, no off-axis guider, no rotator, profile name, sim mode, auto restore calibration is always good with these ones, and finish. Now it's going to want you to do a dark library. I haven't figured out how to do a dark library with this properly. I don't see any way to cover a scope for it, so I'll start that, and I'm going to pause the video right here while it does these. These will take a minute or two, so I'll be back in just a second. Okay, pretty much done here. Just doing the last image now. So that'll be done. Okay. Oh, I got a feeling I didn't have to cover a scope with this one, because the big thing with this guide camera is PHD2 is designed to work with it. You actually can now access the camera settings down here, where you can place various settings for the camera. You can increase or decrease the number of stars in your image, hot pixels. You can add noise to the image, deck backlash and deck drift rate. For polar alignment errors, deck backlash isn't so bad. I changed the drift rate right down because the drift rate is way too high. The guide rate you can change. These are ones you can play with and see what you like doing. I just leave it at this. You can put clouds, thin clouds, so there'll be some cloud across the sky, and you can do all that. So PHD2 is designed to work, with this particular guide camera, which is a good thing. So once you've set everything how you like I said, I generally leave everything at the default, except for the deck drift rate, and that's only because it gives a bad, or you can even bring back the backlash a little if you like. I might take that down to 2.5. You just have to test what works and gives you a good guiding graph. The reason I bring these down is because they will send, if you decide you want to run the guiding assistance, it will send your polar alignment off miles. So click OK on that. Then you can run the simulator, circle the camera, auto select. It'll pretty much always pick that star. The thing with this is it only uses a single image the whole time. It will not change your image as you move around the sky. So I'm going to click on start. It's going to want to calibrate, so I'll let it run through the calibration. I'll pause the video again here and just let this calibration get done. Okay, almost done here again. Just nudging south to finish the calibration, and that's done. Now it's guiding. This will give you about a 0.5 generally on your guiding error. Well, it's a bit all over the place at the moment, but that's okay. I like my reference circle. So, depending on what settings you have with it, it can vary the error you get for your RMS, but it works well for just setting it up and going. But that's it. I've got the guiding going now. It'll work with APT and everything else, so I can go back into APT, start guiding, connected, and away it goes. But that's it. They're the only two things I change. I think the camera in the Sky Sim is probably one of the best ones you can have. It updates well and everything else. Just be wary if you're on a slow system, you might not want to enable any noise for the mount. Otherwise it can build up a lot, because it will generate a lot of images if there's noise. So I leave this at none. Even as it is, it's generating quite a number of images, so it's updating quite regularly, but that's okay. I'll let that go at that, and it's not too bad at these settings. So just with that, you can do with this mount, just like anything else, you can do exactly the same as you can do meridian flips, you can do go-to pluses, you can do autofocus runs. Actually, I might just do a quick autofocus run on this to make sure it's working properly. I'm not sure if I need to turn the noise on. Is that still generating images? Yep, so it's generating regular images. So I'm just going to hit run. Now the big thing with this, doing the autofocus runs, it doesn't need to you don't really need to play with the autofocus settings. They seem to work just fine. So I don't know why, but they do. So we'll just let this run. I mean, you can adjust your settings in the autofocus settings if you like, to match what your gear has if you want to test setting it up. But really, I found it pretty much gives you a good curve no matter what your settings are. So as you can see, that the auto guiding's going well, 0.47 at the moment. That's down around my mount on a good day. It gets below 0.5, so up to number 5. So I'll just let this run through just to show you can do these sort of things. I haven't actually tested for a while. I don't even know if I got with the reinstall whether I've got. No, I haven't got automatic meridian flips set up. Minus 1505. Yes. Okay. Yes, so I can do automatic meridian flips. I don't know why my east and west isn't working properly. I'll have to check that, but as you can see, the autofocus run's going through here. Oh, this is probably the worst curve I've had. I mean, it's not going to be too bad in the end anyway. I wonder if that guiding... interesting. I haven't run a simulated session in some time, a proper one. But it's going through. It's going to give me a decent curve. Calculating. Yeah, right on 2500. That's the setting in the simulator. You know, it only gets a little bit each side of it, really. So it'll be fine. So as you can see, you can run that. I'm not going to go through and demonstrate a flip or whatever. It all works. So I'm going to close that. I don't want to be calculating. And what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to solve this image. Double check that my focal length's correct. Just to make sure. Success, 330 millimeters, that's fine. It's just switching to this mount for some reason or other. It does change the focal length slightly. I don't know why, but I can live with that. But that's it. That's why I use the mount rather than the one built in. And of course, I think the guide camera's a little bit better and is better integrated into PhD too. So it's just something you can go in, you can play with it and whatever you like and change the settings and see what's going on. But I think I'll just finish this up here now, let you all go. I hope everyone has a good skies around them at the moment. I've had a week of rain, going to have another week of rain coming ahead here. So hopefully I'll be able to get some videos done instead. So you might see a couple of videos, you might not, depends how busy I get on other things. But take care all, wishes all clear skies, and I'll see you in the next video.